Hey guys, we're back in Fusion 360 for another video. This time I'm going to be making a lumber storage cart to put down in my workshop because things are just getting a little disorganized. So I'm going to break this video up into where I guess we're going to cover three different things. The first thing is that we're going to build this whole thing start to finish. You can follow along in case you want to build something like this too. We're going to jump into the parameters. We're going to build it all out. Second part is that I found a cool way to save files and designs that you make in Fusion 360 and then open them up on your phone in AR so you can kind of visualize it in the space. I'll walk you through that process. And then finally, I do use an extension here in Fusion 360 to help me create cut lists so I can easily take all the components and the bodies and throw them down on some stock sheets so then I can print it out and then go down to my workshop and start building out. So we're going to do all of that today. And this project specifically, my next video on this channel will be me building it out. So if you want to not only see how to create the design in Fusion 360, but follow along and build one for yourself and just see all my mistakes, go ahead and subscribe just so you can be alerted for when that new video comes out eventually. All right. Cool, let's jump into Fusion 360 and start modeling this thing out. So the first thing I'm gonna do is go up to modify and then go to change parameters so I can set some of the dimensions for the overall cart. So some of the things that I know, click on this plus sign and we're gonna do total length and that's going to be 72 inches. We're gonna do total width and that'll be 25 inches and then total height, which will be 50 inches. I also want to add in some of the material that I'll be using for this project. So we're going to do plus sign, ply thickness, and I'm going to do half, it'll be half an inch. Ply thickness for the 3/4 of an inch plywood I'll be using. And I'm just going to write full here because you can't put in like the division symbol, there's slashes. And then that will be 0.75. I'm also going to be using some 2x4s. So I'm going to be 2x width, which was 3.5, and then 2x thickness, which is 1.5. I'll also have casters on this so I can roll it around the shop. Those have not arrived yet, so I'm not sure the overall total height for them yet, but this is the beauty of parametric modeling. I'm just going to put in 3.5 inches to start. And then I will be building out this frame, kind of this platform that the whole cart's going to be sitting on, which is made from the 2x4s. And as I build out that frame, there's going to have some middle dividers or some slats, some support pieces. And I'm going to be using a mirroring, a pattern tool for that, just so I can say how many of those will be in the middle. This will all make sense in a second. So I'm going to do num and then slats for that. Instead of it being inches for the unit, I'm going to change that to no units because it's just a quantity, and I'm going to do 4 of those. So that's enough to start. We're definitely going to dive back into these parameters later as we continue modeling it out, but that should be a good place to get going. So I'm going to press OK. And now the first thing that I'm going to do is go up to the top here and click Create Sketch. I'm going to select this bottom plane here. So this is where we're going to start building out that kind of that frame, that platform for it. So I'm going to press R for rectangle. I'm going to go down to this middle origin. So I'm going to zoom in so you can see that. Click right in here. When it turns to that square, then you'll know that it's locking into a specific spot. I'm going to zoom out. So for this dimension on the left here, I'm going to do total length and then hit tab to go to the next one. And then this will be total width. So that should be the overall platform that's going to sit on. I'm going to press enter to lock that in. And I'm just going to drag these dimensions out a little bit just so we can see it a little bit more clearly. So part of this, and again, it will make sense later, is I'm going to have a front and a back lip for some 1/2-inch plywood just to kind of be the front of the cubbies that I'll have for just the offcuts. And then on the other side, I'll have another lip, and this will allow for some of the sheet goods to sit at an angle and so they just don't fall off the cart. So I'm going to build those in now. So I'm going to zoom in back to the origin and then press R for rectangle. And then select that spot right there. This will be the total length as well. but this dimension will be the plywood thickness half, and press enter. Press R for rectangle and then do it to the exact same thing on the other side, making sure you lock in from that corner there. Total length, tab, plywood thickness, half. Press enter. So now those are the two lips for the 1/2 inch plywood. Now I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to press R for rectangle again and then go into kind of the edge corner of that plywood. And then this will be total length, comma, and this is going to be the 2x width. Press enter. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side as well. R for rectangle, lock into that corner, total length, 2x width. Enter. So now you can start to see the frame parts, and then these are the slats in the middle that I talked about that'll connect these two outside pieces. So press R for rectangle, go into this corner now. And then this dimension here that I have selected will be the 2x width. But this part right here, we're going to have to do a little bit of an equation to get that middle part. So it will be the total width of the cart, but we have to minus the plywood 1/2 thickness times 2, and then minus the 2x width times 2 to account for the things that we just made. And it should put it right in the middle and press enter. So I will not put the other slats in the middle. We're going to use the pattern tool for that, and I will show you how to do that right now. So this is good for now. I'm going to press finish sketch so we can start extruding some things. So zooming out a little bit, I have this back 2x4. I'm just going to click the face and then press E for extrude, and it's going to ask what's the dimension of the width here, which we've already set. So the thickness. Hit that and press OK. As soon as you make an extrude from a sketch, it will hide all of the other sketches. So you can just click on this down arrow. We'll see our sketch right here in the menu, and then click this just so we can see it again. And then we're going to go to the other side. Same process. Press E for extrude, and then this will be the thickness for the 2x as well. Now we're going to grab this part, that little middle slat. Same process, 2x thickness. The only thing is now, because we are connecting or creating a 3D, making it extrude and it's attaching to these other components or these other bodies here, it will kind of just say, I'm going to join this together, which we can see over here in this panel. It says Operation Join. I've so many times have done this instead of creating a new body because we want to reference this as a different piece. I've gone in without even looking and press OK, and then you'll see that it just turns it all into one body instead of it being 3 over here. So if you select that, it just has it all. That's not what we want. We want these to be separate pieces. So instead of deleting it or undoing it, you can go down to the timeline and actually right-click on the action that you just made, and go to Edit Feature, and then just change the operation over here, in case you forgot, to New Body, press OK, and now we'll have the 3 separate bodies here. So we can start naming these bodies. I'm going to kind of create components based upon the things that we're doing. So I'm just going to rename this and just type in 2x4. I'm going to select it and copy it because I just want to make the same name for the other pieces as well. So now we're going to create these slats in the middle to kind of help bridge the gap between these two and just create it, be more structural, I guess. So I'm going to select this body. I'm going to go to create, and then I'm going to go down to pattern and then rectangular pattern. And then we have the object that we want to copy selected, and we'll go to axis, and then we're going to select this line just to let it know which path is it going to create the pattern along. And then as you can see, it pulls up these little arrows. So if I start sliding this, you'll get a sense of what I'm doing. So I want to control all of this by the parameters that we set. So it has 3 for the quantity, 1, 2, 3, but we created 1 for num of slats, which is equal to 4. So we have that set. And then the distance is actually going to be the total length. But as you can see, if we go to the edge here, that it goes past the model. So all we need to do is subtract the width of the 2x4. And it should lock it into place. And I'm going to press enter, and we're good there. I'm going to hide this sketch for a second, so now you can see what we're dealing with. So if we go back to modify, we change parameters just to double check that everything is working properly. I can change the total length to 80 and it will extend it out. Put that back to 72. And if we want to change the width to 30, it'll move that there as well. Put that back to 25. And then for the number of slats, let's say that 4 is too many. We only want 3. We can change that to 3 and it will automatically position it right there in the middle. Or if we wanted more, we can do that as well. All right. So we're good there. Next thing I want to do is build out the half-inch plywood that's going to sit on top of this frame. And those lips that we created earlier, we'll deal with those in a second. But first, let me go up here, hide this sketch. We're going to do a new sketch, and the plane that we're going to select is just right on top of this frame. It's going to do some crazy moving around. And then all we're doing is pressing R for rectangle. We're going to select one of the corners, and once it turns into that square, your cursor turns into that square, you know it's locked in. Start dragging it out. And then I know that this first dimension is going to be total length, which will go to the end. Good there, see? And then the total width is going to be a little bit different because it's going to be total width. It's going to extend it past, but we're going to do minus plywood thickness half times 2. And it will end it right there. I'm going to hit finish sketch, and then you can see the piece right on top. We're going to click this face, and then we're going to also select this face by holding down shift and then press E for extrude, and we're going to move that up to ply thickness half. Same thing before, it's going to be set to join as the operation, but we want this to be a new body. All right, so now that we're starting to build out some pieces, it's probably best to have all of these organized. So I'm going to make sure that this parent component here is selected. I'm going to go up to new component, and I'm going to just write 2x4 just so we can separate the material that we'll be using, which makes things a little bit easier for the cut list later on. Press OK. You can see the component is added over here in our browser panel. So I'm going to take these 2x4s that we've made earlier and then just kind of drag them in there. You can select one of them, go down to the bottom, hold shift, and then select all, and then just drag them in. So we're good on that. So the next thing that I want to do is create that front and that back lip, which we made in that original sketch, but I haven't determined how high I want these lips to be. So let's go into modify again, go to change parameters. I'm going to create a new parameter. And let's say that the part of the storage or the lumber storage rack cart is the front of it is going to be the ones that has the cubbies for the offcuts, and the back of it will be where the plywood will rest at an angle. Maybe we'll adjust it later on, but just for the sake of this measure for this designing, that's what we'll go with. So I'm going to say front ply lip, and let's make that for now 15 inches. And then we'll do back ply lip, and this will be a little bit shorter, and we'll just set that to 4. Press OK. I'm going to unhide my first sketch that we did, and then we can zoom in and see that lip. So let's see if we just angle this around. So this will be the front. We'll select that face in there. We zoom in a little bit. Press E for extrude. We're going to bring it up. And then this will be the front ply lip. I'm going to change the operation to new body, and then go to the other side and do the same thing for the back ply lip. Extrude, back ply lip, and then set this to new body. All right, so now we have the 2x4s done. We have the half-inch plywood done as well. So now with this, I know that these bodies are half-inch, so I'm going to do 0.5 plywood, and I'm just going to copy that name, paste it, and then go to the parent, create a new component, and this will just be 0.5 plywood. Press OK, and then I can drag those bodies into that new component just to keep everything nice and organized. Also, if you're wondering how I'm moving this model around so easily and rotating it and zooming in back and forth, it's because I'm using this thing called a space mouse. So it's actually really cool. So if you have this, you can pull it up to zoom in, push down to zoom out, and then move things left to right, up and down. And it takes a little bit of getting used to, and it has all these buttons on the side that you can program with different shortcuts and stuff. But it's made by a company called 3D Connection, and they reached out to me not too long ago because they saw some other Fusion 360 videos I was making and asked if I want to try it out. So they did send me this kit for free. It's got the space mouse, the keyboard, the number pad, the mouse. But they just asked, hey, maybe your subscribers would like to see it or be interested. And I think it's pretty cool. Been using it for a couple days now, and they did hook me up with a discount code. So go check the link in the description below if you want to see all their projects and products rather, and see if it's something that you'd be interested in. I was a little bit nervous because I'm not a professional CAD designer, and I thought this was just going to be way too much. But this compact space mouse is like so cool. It just doesn't take up a lot of space on my desk, and it just allows me to kind of move in and out and create things more efficiently. So thanks 3D Connection for sending it my way. The next thing that I want to build out are the little cubbies in the front, which I'm just going to kind of drop offcuts of wood in here and just have some storage. And the first thing that I need to figure out is how deep these cubbies are going to be. So that is something I can do if I add in a parameter for that. So modify, change parameters, and then I'm going to do front ply gap. So it's just going to be how deep are these cubbies going to be. Why don't we just start off with 8 inches? That sounds good to me. And press OK. So now I'm going to create a new sketch on the top of this 1/2 inch plywood. And we can do that by going to create sketch, and I'm going to select this. And then we're good there. I like to just reorient and just know where I am. So I'm going to click on top. There we go. And then I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to press R for rectangle, and I'm going to grab in this corner piece. So right behind that front lip where the cursor turns into a square. And then click, and then I know that this is going to be the total length, and then this is going to be the front ply gap. Press OK. And then I can go back into this gap, press R for rectangle, again, select this little corner piece here, total length, and then this will actually be the ply thickness full for the 3/4 inch plywood. Press OK. So finish this sketch out, reorient my camera, and now I can see this is the plywood piece that I'm going to lift up. So click on this face, press E for extrude, and then the height of this one, we're going to have to do a little math, but it's going to be the total height, but we need to subtract the frame of the 2x4, so the 2x thickness, subtract the plywood 1/2 for that top base there. And then we're also going to subtract the caster height, which we can adjust later. So that will ultimately bring this piece down to 44 inches, 44.5 inches, and press OK. See, I did it again. It joined to the bottom. So I'm going to go down here, right click it. I'm going to edit this feature and then change this to new body and press OK. And the next thing that I need to do is figure out how high I want these kind of angled cuts to be on this middle plywood. And I'm not entirely sure what that's going to be just yet. So I'm going to create a parameter for that. And we'll do this middle ply height. Or I guess it could be cubby height. And I'll make this 15 inches. Press OK. And we're good. So now I'm going to create the sketch, which will live on this side plane here. So create sketch, select that, zoom in a little bit. And then what I'll do is I'll create a line, pressing L, and I'm going to go to this little corner in here, zoom in, select that. And then the height of this will be the cubby height that we just made. And then make sure it connects to that spot. I'm going to draw this line Continue to draw the line by placing the first point on that one that we just made. And then it's going to go right in here to this corner. And I'm not going to do any parameters for this because I know that's just going to connect because it's got that little square icon. So I'm going to select that. And then I'm going to go down here to the next point and then the next point, and then it will create the sketch. Press finish sketch, and then we can see that's what it will look like, which looks good to me. So now I'm going to select this face here, press E for extrude. Since the arrow is coming this way, we have to do negative. So I'm going to do negative ply thickness full, change the operation to new body, and press OK. So that's what it will look like in here and for the little cubbies that it will have. I don't like how short this is. I think I want to increase this back a little bit more. So modify, change parameters, scroll down to the cubby height, and we're going to change that to, I don't know, 20 inches. Looks better to me. And then press OK. So now I'm going to create a couple of them in here. I'm going to do another parameter for the number of cubbies. So I'm going to do num cubby, and then that's going to be 5, and then change the unit from inches to no units and press OK. So now with this cubby selected, I can go to create. We're going to do pattern, rectangular pattern, choose the axis for sliding it across right here, drag it out a little bit. And this is going to be num cubby. And then the length is going to be total length. And then minus the plywood thickness full, which should bring it right to where we need it to be. Yep. Looks good to me. And press OK. So I kind of want more. I want one space in here that's going to be a little bit wider than the other two. So I'm going to go to modify again, change parameters. We're going to change this to 6. And then I don't want this middle slat here. So I'm going to select that, which is body 13, right click it, and I'm going to just remove it. That looks good. So the next thing that I want to do is move on to the other side, and this will be the side that'll be kind of sitting at an angle to store some larger sheet goods, and then also want to create some shelves in the middle of that to store some longer kind of dimensional lumber as well. So to start, I'm going to click on the sketch that we made on that side profile here. Let's see that, and then double click into it to start sketching out. We do need to make a few more parameters. So I'm going to go to modify, change parameters, and I guess it'll be like plywood slats that are going to go through. You'll see in a second. I have to designate or specify the width of those. So ply slat width, and we're going to do 4 inches. I want to do number of ply slats, change the unit from inches to no units, and we'll say that there's going to be 4 total. Press OK. We also have to determine the angle of which those plywood pieces will be resting at. So I'm going to do ply angle, and that will be 3, but we have to change the unit down to degrees. Press OK. And then we also have to figure out what's the gap going to be from this lip into to when those plywood slats are going to be secure. So how much space will I have for those sheet goods to rest in? So plus, and then it's going to be back ply gap, similar to what we did with the front. And we'll say that's going to be 5 inches. Press OK. So I'm going to create kind of a rectangle that's going to fit in here. So I'm going to select, press R for rectangle. I'm going to grab from this ply lip right here and then go all the way up to the top and just have it connect to this. We're not going to change any of the parameters just so I can see what I'm working with. And then I'm going to press L for line and then go down to this corner again, select it and drag it out. And this will be the gap for the back ply. Press OK. And then we're going to have to create that angled piece. So press L for line again. So from that part right there, bring it all the way up and have it connect to this line that we've made. And then I'm not entirely sure what that distance will be, but I do know the angle, and it's going to be 90 degrees minus plywood angle that we made earlier, and press OK. So hopefully, if I did things right, if I go to modify, change parameters, and I change the total height, bring that down to 50, it does not lock in. Need to figure this out because this is, I wonder if I move it down to have it snap in someplace. It looks like it might have done it. I just need to drill it down, but let's change the total height to 60. Okay, and it does move. 50, sweet. So as you're building out that line, you just need to make sure that it snaps into this rectangle just so it knows to move it along as you change the dimensions. So you could kind of figure out a way to extrude some stuff, but I found the best way is that going down here, just from that beginning line that we made earlier, press L for line again, make sure the cursor switches into a square, drag it out, and then we'll just do plywood thickness full. And make sure it's connected on that angle. And then I'm going to do the same thing up here. Actually, we could just kind of keep the same angle. So if I drill or click into that little line and then go all the way up here, make it sure it snaps in, press tab, and we're going to do the same thing for 90 minus plywood angle. But this way. Zoom in, and just have it connect. So that should be our piece that we'll extrude in a second, but I just want to go to change parameters to make sure we're good. Change the height to 55, and it moves. That's what we want, guys. Press OK. All right, with that all set, I'm going to hit finish sketch. We'll see this little plywood piece that we've created. And then same process as before. Hit E to extrude. Arrows facing this way, so we got to go negative. So this will be negative plywood slat width. Change this operation to new body. Press OK. I'm going to hide the sketch. And then we're going to select it. Go to create, pattern, rectangular pattern. Choose where we want this to pattern to. Grab that, slide it out, slat, number applies slats, and then the distance is going to be total length minus be negative total length plus the slat width, and brings it in, and then press OK, and we're good. With those plywood slats all done, I want to now create some shelving units in between this space right here that can store some longer pieces of dimensional lumber. So the best way to do this that I've found is I'm going to create another new sketch, but this time the plane is going to be on this backside of this middle plywood here. So click that. Now I'm going to just hide these slats that we've created just so I can better see it. And then you can see that it starts off right there. So now what I'm going to do is press R for rectangle. I'm going to go over here to this corner, and then I'm just going to bring it all out. So this is going to be plywood thickness full, which is 3/4 of an inch. And then this will be the total length. And then press enter. So I want these to be evenly spaced throughout this whole thing. I think I want maybe change parameters. We're going to do num shelves, and new unit is going to be no unit, and maybe we'll have like 5 of them. And you'll see why I select 5. I only really want 4. All right, we're going to take the same process that we've done before with the pattern mirror tool, but I'm just going to select a sketch this time, and it's that rectangle that we just made. Select that, go to rectangular pattern. I'm going to drop it down a little bit. The quantity is going to be the number of shelves. And then the distance is going to be negative total height plus the casters plus the 2x, and then plus that plywood half. And then press OK. So now you can see it sits right underneath, but it's because I don't want a shelf there. So ultimately these gaps should all be the same. So if I do this gap or select this spot to this spot, it's 10.38. And if I select this to here, 10.38 as well. So they're all evenly spaced. So now I'm going to unhide those slats that we've made before. And for the extruding part, I'm going to select each one of these faces. This one, hold down Shift, select this one. Zoom in a little bit. Shift this one and this one. And press E for extrude. And instead of it going to a specific distance, all of these distances or the width of each one of these shelves is going to be slightly different because this is at a 3-degree angle. So instead, I'm going to open up, go to this extrude panel and change the extend type to object. And it's going to say, what object are we extending them to? And I'm just going to select this face. And I'm going to change the operation to new body and press OK. So now we have those shelves in the middle. And you can see that each one of these is going to be a little bit different. This edge length is 8.37. This one down here is 8.96. And it all references the angle that we set these slats to. So that is pretty much the final design of this lumber storage cart. I need to figure out as I go build it. And if you subscribe to see that next video where I build this out, I'm just not sure of the process that I'm going to take here. What's going to go first? How do I cut these angled pieces right so they fit exactly where I need to be? Am I just doing screws from this side in here? Am I doing pocket hole joinery? Should I just do dados instead? I'm not sure yet. And then also for the casters, we'll need to add those in, but we don't need to do that for this model. We just need to change, and once we get the casters, understand how tall they are so we can put them in the parameters and then figure that all out. So once this is all good, then we can pretty much create the cut list from it. And why don't we do that now? All right. And just to let you know, I took all of those 3/4 inch plywood pieces. I created a new component and dropped all the bodies in there. So now we have 3 components. I'm not sure if this is the best way to do it, but it seemed to work out pretty well for me. And I have each of the materials that I'll be using as it's kind of its own component. So now if I click on that, then you'll see that these are all of the pieces that I need to cut that will be from 0.75 plywood, 3/4 inch, same with the 1/2 inch, and then same with the 2x4s as well. So for the cut list, I actually bought an extension on the Fusion App Store. It's $25 and you have it for lifetime. And I think I bought it a couple of years back and I just found it and then downloaded it and I still have access. So you can go to utilities and then click on the drop down for add-ins and then go to Fusion App Store. And it will open up this store here and then just type in map board and then you'll see the 2 options. I don't know the difference between the map boards regular for $15 and then the map boards pro for $25. You can do a little research and figure out which one's going to be best for you. But this is the tool, the extension that I use to create cut lists in Fusion 360. So closing out of that, once you have it downloaded, it should pop up in here. I think you can go to create and it will be right here at the bottom. So I'm going to click on that and then we'll open up this little window. So it'll have all of basically the components, the bodies, whatever, everything selected. There's 23 parts. And then up here is what it'll show like what is the width and the length, the maximum that you have here. I'm going to take a second and explain to you this issue that I had beforehand. So you can see that we have the 2x4s at 1.5 inches. We have the 1/2 inch plywood and 3/4 inch plywood, but then there's another one and it's probably because we made these at an angled, at an angle. We didn't do them right because they're referencing at 0.749. And I would love if this could be just grouped up with the rest of the plywood. And so I need to fix that before we can actually build the cut list. So I'm going to press cancel. And the tricky part is if you go in here, let's say if we go to the top and I'm going to select this edge right here and it says 0.75. So there's some sort of, I don't know if it's I just didn't do it right or if it's just not recognizing it properly. But what I'll do is I'm going to just select all these faces here. Let me zoom in here a little bit. And I'm going to just press E for extrude. and it's going to bring it out, but I'll just do 0.001 and press join, press OK. And then it should ultimately keep the distance the same, 0.75. But if we go back into Mapboard Pro, it will combine them. So now it's just referencing that they're all 0.75. So quick little fix if you run into that problem as well. And what we need to do is go in here to the stock area and just edit in what is like the stock piece that we're going to be using. So for example, for the 2x4s, I know they're going to be 3.5 by 8 feet long. So put that in there and then hit save. The quantity, just to say that I have 5 of them, just so it's not kind of saying, hey, you don't have enough material, just kind of overdo it there. And then for the material here for the 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch plywood as well, same process, edit the stock, be 48 inches by 96. And I'll just say I have 4 of them. And then kind of the same thing for the 3/4 inch plywood as well. And save that. So now we have all of the pieces selected. Why don't we just select all of them? I'm assuming that's going to include the entire model. If you want to change any of the options in here, you can go click in options. The one thing that I've seen is that I'm going to change this or check the box for can rotate components. It just helps to kind of some of the plywood pieces, it won't list them on the board even though there's room because it doesn't think that it can rotate it based on the grain. So I'm just going to select that. You can add in labels if you want and just help to kind of organize everything to create the cut list from it. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to leave it here, press OK, and then it will just create all these steps and just build out the entire cut list for you based upon the material you have. So pretty nifty. So you can see that like it's not going to show for the 2x4s. It's going to go all the way out to 96. It's just going to say, hey, here's what you need. You need 1 2x4, another one, and then only really 3 of them to cut those middle slats. Here's the 1/2 inch plywood right here. You can see it fits on a sheet. Same thing with this one and this one. So the only thing is like these ones right here are the slats. So these will be kind of faced with the grain direction how we would like. And I'm sure, I mean, if we take a look at this, how long is this? This is 44.56. Maybe we can get away and put another one in here just so we can keep the same grain direction, but at least gives you a place to start to know how much material will I need. So that's the cut list. So now what I'm going to do is going to basically hide this map right here. And then I'm going to come in here. And then to create that AR design, I'm going to go to File, and then we're going to export it. And then we're going to change that export file as USD and then save that as lumber storage cart. So when that's exported, you really just can email it to yourself and then open up that file on your phone. If you have an iPhone, I know it works for that. You just open up the file and it automatically brings you into the AR view, and then you can set the design wherever you'd like, and just to see if it fits, you can zoom in, you can zoom out, you can rotate it, and it's a really cool way for after you've built something in the computer to see if it will actually fit in the space where you're building it for. So hopefully this was a good video and you guys enjoyed it. We went through start to finish of building out this rack. We showed you the cut list and the 3D modeling part of it as well. If you enjoyed the video, would appreciate if you hit that like button, subscribe if you're not already, so you can see more videos like this, and then also the build out process of this lumber storage cart, which I plan on doing very soon. And leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of the video. If there's something else that you want me to model, I really like making these fusion videos because I can just sit in front of the camera and I don't have to deal with building something that takes a lot more time. Don't get me wrong, I really like in doing it, but these videos are easy to make and I would love to make more of them if you guys find this interesting. So thank you guys, and I will see you in the next one.